We interrupt our normal indie game showcase for this week for a very special one. This is going to be my favorite games I judge from the Independent Games Festival or IGF of 2023. There were a lot of games I played, even more that I really enjoyed, and these are going to be my absolute favorites and ones you should definitely keep an eye out for or pick up if they are already out right now. Before we begin, you're not going to be seeing a lot of in-game footage here because a lot of these games I played on my own, so future Josh will put up some screenshots wherever they may be. Also, my hair feels like it's going in like wild directions. I think the more indie games I play, the more disheveled I become. I could probably do like various like Doom portraits of me in various levels of it, based on all the games that we've played. So the list that we're going to be talking about today, this is in no particular order. Again, I played and judged a whole mess of games. So let's begin with our first one. We are starting things off with the potentially seizure-inducing Endlight. This is basically if we, poured Red Bull on Res, popped up the polygon count by 20 billion%, and threw in a bunch of random sounds and various effects. This is a very unusual game, as you can only play each level one time, except for a very special event, I believe on Christmas or on New Year's, where you can potentially win the right to replay levels. I'm seriously warning everyone watching this right now, if you suffer from any kind of photosensitivity, anything at all, do not play this game, because it will probably trigger a whole mess of issues. It was starting to give me a headache after about 10 minutes. Now, the 9 minutes and 59 seconds before that headache, I was enjoying the game. There is certainly something very interesting about this dodge 'em up shmupping kind of game. But again, do not play this game if you have any kind of photosensitivity issues, if flashing lights and lots of things going all over the screen at once are going to cause a headache. But if you can survive that, then you'll find a very unique and interesting game here. We go from something very unusual to something that we've all kind of seen before with Gravity Circuit. This is basically a Mega Man X-like, where we replace our Mega Buster with a Mega Punch, as you must defeat evil robot, not masters, but some of the non-copyright or non-trademark phrase, in order to save a city of robots. Not the most unique game that we played, but a very solid take on 2D action design. It does get a little bit difficult, especially near the end in some of the boss fights, but if you are a fan of all the Mega Man games, especially again the X series, with wall jumping, lots of dashing, and finding many secrets, then you should definitely check out Gravity Circuit, and there'll be a review of that one coming up here on the channel. For longtime fans, you probably know this point about me by now, but if there's anything that I just immediately fall in love with a game, it's when it does an interesting or great use of scale with its characters and its world, and Small Saga definitely takes the cake for this year. This is a game where you play as a young mouse who gets a blade or a switchblade and decides to use it as a god weapon in order to kill the Yellow God, aka Exterminator, who killed his brother. All set in this kind of quasi-medieval underground world that takes place in our modern society. The aesthetics and art design are wonderful in this game. While the JRPG combat is a little bit on the basic side, the game definitely gets enough charm with its visuals and its sound design. So if you're looking for an RPG that feels like, JRPG Secrets of Nim, then you should definitely check this one out. For our next entry, I have just two words for you, and that is Viva Pinata, with Horticular, and I completely butchered that name, you'll find a link to it down below. In this one, it is kind of on one hand like a cozy, kind of environmental rebuilding sim. You have been sent to a distant world in order to build back the environment welcome all kinds of flora and fauna back, and also deal with corrupted gnomes coming to destroy you. Or you can ignore that, you want to play the game without that feature. The rules here are that you'll choose from various combinations of tiles and plant life that you'll set up on the area in order to create these little patches of biomes. If you do it right, you'll attract the animals who will use their love to power your various upgrades. You'll need to grow, get more animals, get more materials, get people to help defend your farm/environment at night. And this is a game that has a lot going for it. It has, again, that same kind of vibe as Viva Pinata, of you trying to build these various spaces and then watching all your critters move around and live their happy-go-lucky lives. So on one hand, it can be a very easy, very cozy game, or you can deal with the corruption and the deadly gnomes, like I did, and get a little bit more challenge. But I really enjoy this one, and there is a lot of potential here if you're looking for a kind of, cozy yet not so cozy, environmentally friendly kind of game. Now, as all of you know, I am not the biggest visual novel fan, but one of the games I had a chance to check out, at least to a little bit, was Amarantus. In this game, you and your friends are going to take a hitchhike across the country in order to depose the evil lord who has kidnapped, or worse, to your family. This is a game where you can romance, break up, feud with just about anyone. While this is certainly not the game for me, if you're a visual novel fan, this one has gotten a lot of praise from the people who've played it, and there are multiple routes and all kinds of ways for you to explore, get in love, get in fights, or just have some fun along the way. Our next game was definitely a surprise favorite of mine from the IGF judging, and that is Recall. This is a game that is built on the premise that you have been given the power to literally rewrite the present by going into memories and flashbacks. How you tell a story will affect the world around you, and the puzzles are all about kind of manipulating the story to affect the present and give you the tools and information you need in order to survive each encounter. The story is really well done as well, although I will say that the finale just kind of feels a bit abrupt, but very fantastic game and an easy recommendation for anyone looking for a very different kind of puzzle design. Back to the Dawn is one of the games that I judge that is still in early access at the time of me recording this, but there is certainly potential here as this kind of prison RPG style simulator. You have been thrown into jail after the corrupt governor planted some dirt on you, and you must survive 21 days, try and figure out how to get back at them, and keep yourself alive and not beaten up or worse by the various gangs and guards in the prison. The game is built on you performing various tasks and exploring, which will eat up your time. You must be in certain spots. You are free to decide who you interact with, who you help, who you backstab, how you progress. There is a lot to this game. It is admittedly on the slower side, and again, for those of you watching this, the game is still in early access, but there is certainly potential here for a very meaty experience if you don't mind a little jail time along the way. Ace Team is one of those studios that you either love or hate their games. Each one will always approach a genre in a very different and stylized way, and Clash Artifacts of Chaos is one of those games. One part survival, one part Souls-like, also one part dice game as well. You play as a mysterious stranger who is exploring the world of Xenoclash, where everyone is as weird as the rules that are made up. People are trying to kill you, anything is kind of going on, and you also have the power to turn to a wooden, strange figure at night. Combat is a little bit on the clunky side, but it does feel different compared to some of the other games that we've played. You can choose from different combo styles, get different ultimates, and there's also brewing various potions. This is a game that is definitely one of the clunkier games on my list, But again, as someone who has always enjoyed when Ace Team kind of goes off the beaten path, and this game certainly does that, then it's certainly worth checking out if you're looking for a little weirdness to go with your fisticuffs. This next one is another one that we are going to have a review up on the channel very soon for, and that is on Garde. What originally started as a student project that went into a fully released game, this is a fantastic kind of Errol Flynn swashbuckling simulator, where you will run, jump, and make use of the environment to even the odds against all manner of opponents. The combat feels really well done, and I love this kind of environmental interaction that the game is going for. Not too short, yet doesn't really overstay its welcome with a very wholesome aesthetic, where everyone is so played no matter how much things are getting hurt, thrown, exploded, or whatever. Easy recommendation for anyone who's looking for an action game, and especially one that you can probably get done in an afternoon or a weekend. Our next game is certainly an interesting mix, and this is Little Goody Two Shoes, a game that is built on kind of the aesthetics of a 90s anime. You play as a girl in a lovely little village, where people go about their business. There may be a little talks of witchcraft here and there, but you're just trying to make it one day at a time, keep yourself fed on a variety of pretzels, and maybe try and win the hand of any of the lovely bachelorettes in the town. So the daytime is this loving story, very delightful, very cozy. But then at nighttime, the mysterious forces of the dark will come for you, and you must try and figure out what is going on before it is too late, and you and your friends are murdered. And that's Little Goody Two Shoes in a nutshell, a very normal, ordinary game where nothing strange will happen to you. And if you like what you heard, everything that you heard about it, then you should certainly give it a check. Cryptmaster is a game that we had a chance to play at some festival at this point, I have no idea when. But I had a chance to play a more complete version of it for the IGF judging. And this first-person dungeon crawler meets Pictionary kind of game is certainly one that is worth talking about. You will guide your party through a very dark and very dry wit humor-filled dungeon, trying to make it to the surface. Each character gains power by you typing in words that represent various skills, such as punch, or yell, or kick, and other ones as well. So, you're upgrading your characters by simply finding more words that they can use, and you'll need to make use of all of them for combat. While the game still has some issues, I think, with, trying to make use of all the words in the middle of combat, in the middle of dealing with the enemies, it is a very original game, and certainly one worth checking out if you want to spell RPG in your games. A game that is close to being something that I really enjoy, but I'm not quite sure where I would put it as some of my favorites from the judging event, is Dungeon Drafters. This is a deck-building roguelike meets mystery dungeon style game. The card designs and kind of card dynamics are really well done, which each style of deck has its own unique abilities, many ways of breaking this game if you want to dig into it, but it's also incredibly slow in terms of its pacing and structure. Since you can only get new cards by making to the exit of each dungeon, if you die, you lose everything. It feels very needlessly grindy at the start to get the cards that you need to build a decent deck. But if you can get past that, this is a very solid deck builder with a lot of charm with its aesthetics and art design. The Talos Principle 2 doesn't need an introduction at this point. The first one was one of my favorite games. The second one I am enjoying very slowly, as I have so many games to play. It's hard to dedicate one that is such a big event or a lot of time to it. But again, if you enjoyed the first game, then you will certainly love the second one, and you will probably get as equally or even more so stumped at it than in the original. One of the last games I reviewed for the IGF is 20 Small Mazes, a kind of game within a game within a game within a maze style puzzle game. As the title goes, You have 20 small mazes. It kind of follows this almost like WarriorWare kind of vibe, with each maze having its own little rules to it, and even the menu and GUI of the game is a puzzle within itself. Not the longest game by any stretch of the imagination, but just a very solid kind of afternoon puzzle style game. One of the advantages of being able to do judging each year is I get to play a lot of games I would have never have even heard of, much less have a chance to play, and Anthology of the Killer is an example of this. This is a, anthology of a series of games that all follow the same character in a very unusual world. Each game, they are put into some kind of strange Lovecraftian situation. All this very kind of like rough, almost like flash art, like hand-drawn aesthetic to it. Now, the game itself is definitely more visual novel, walking simulator style. Like, you're not going to be doing any kind of gameplay or gameplay affecting stuff to it, but each story is really well done. How the art and the tone shifts from story to story is really fantastic. And if you're looking for something to get mildly creepy about, then you should check out all the games in this anthology. One of these smaller games I had a chance to judge was LimeJuice. This is a very short form, kind of puzzle style game, where you play as a girl waiting at the bus stop, and her notebook will basically change the environment around them and the pages within it. Not the longest game, as I just said. I think I finished this in about 15-20 minutes. But it's a very charming game. I like kind of the aesthetic of the world changing around, and kind of like the doodle look and feel to it. And if you're looking for something to kill a few minutes to, I would at least give this one a check. Inkle has been associated as main name for themselves with a variety of interesting and very unique story-based games, and a Highland Song is their upcoming next one. This game, I think, has finally proven to me that I really love Celtic guitar in my games. And in it, you explore the Highlands as a little girl trying to reach her uncle. The use of parallax as you go from range to range is really well done. It's one of those games that the gameplay is like, it's involved enough to make you think, but it's not going to overwhelm you in any capacity. With some fantastic music and a very interesting story, this is going to, I think, be another winner for the studio, and an easy recommendation from me. Reality Break is a game that I had no intention of playing until I saw people talking about, and I'm glad they did. This is looking to be a very fantastic action roguelike. You play as a kind of mercenary in space when you discover a mysterious device that will let you literally rewrite reality around you. And you must use that power to, of course, do what we all do in an action roguelike or action RPG, and that is fight enemies, get loot, and become stronger and repeat. The game kind of is like straddles a line between being an ARPG and a roguelike. On each run, you will find procedurally generated gear, you will outfit your ship, you can use your reality warping powers to change the properties of items, change your ship. When the run is over, you'll unlock and gain access to points that you can use to rewrite reality to make things better for you. This will be unlocking new systems, new bonuses, new quests, making the game harder, unlocking more of the story, and so on. I really enjoy this game, so I love the kind of spaceship ARPG design that was last seen in a game kind of like Drox Operative. This one does not have that kind of 4X layer to it, but again, it has the roguelike replayability. And if you are looking for an action roguelike with a whole mess of ARPG goodness, then definitely check this one out. Our next game is one that unfortunately I couldn't get it working 100%, but from what I saw, there is something interesting here, and that is Price of Flight. In this dark dystopic world, birds have been grounded, and they are forced to compete in a deadly game show to hopefully earn their freedom. In this game, you get into JRPG style battles while rolling dice and exploring the world as a board game. A lot of interesting things going on in this one. Unfortunately, like I said, I couldn't quite get things to work with my keyboard and mouse. Like, the resolution of the game wasn't quite working there. But this one certainly could have some unusual charm for people looking for a whole lot of oddness to go with their RPG. Our next game is another story-driven one, but it is certainly one that is a bit different, and that is the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood. You play as a witch who has been banished to an asteroid for 1,000 years after predicting the fall of her coven. But after about 200 years, she decides to summon a great cosmic entity to try and get out. And in the process, she will alter the very fabric of the universe, using her power of tarot card reading. The kind of gameplay hook here is that you are literally building your own deck of tarot cards. Using the various energies of the world, you are free to choose from different styles, different characters, different themes, and then you can actually personalize each card. During the tarot card readings, you'll decide the fate of people, the universe, and everything around you. It's one of those games where it feels like the choices don't matter until they really do matter in a big way. This is still, again, a very narrative-driven game, but very descriptive, not only in what is going on, but also some very dark subject matter and mature themes as well. So if you don't mind that, or looking for a game where you are really choosing your own adventure, then you should check this one out. And now perhaps the big winner of the event, or from the judging from me, and that is Final Profit, a shop RPG. This is a game that you are playing as Madam Biz, and you must use capitalism to fight capitalism. There's maybe something poetic there, I'm not quite sure. This is a mix of idle design, JRPG, and shop management sim, as you must explore the countryside trying to find products to sell to hapless people to get their sweet, sweet money, so you can use to buy more products and buy more property and keep growing until you have taken over the world of capitalism. The story is really well done, and don't let the screenshots or the RPG Maker engine fool you. There is a lot going on in this game. I love the layers of secrets and multiple forms of progression that the game introduces. So, while all the normies out there are enjoying Baldur's Gate 3 for its, well-made combat system and you can romance everyone, this is a game that lets you commit tax evasion and stock manipulation. And basically, if you're someone who loves Racketeer and the property buying minigame of Yakuza 0, this is a definite play for you. If when I just said property management, you just said, huh? Then this is certainly not going to be it. And Final Profit is going to be one of those games you will either play for 10 minutes and then never look at, or you will go down the rabbit hole and just see how far, the pursuit of money will take you. And the developer is still working on the game with more kind of New Game Plus and post-game challenges that will be coming at some point in the future. RAM, or Random Access Mayhem, is a student game that has some really interesting potential. The game is built on kind of a high-speed action play of like a Hyper Light Drifter or Hotline Miami. But the twist is that you are not playing as a character, you are a program. And you are able to hack the various enemies and take over their bodies. Each body is kind of like its own unique thing. It will have its own attack, its own ability to move, health, and so on. And when you get upgrades, you can choose either like general upgrades, like you can move a little bit faster, or you do a little bit more damage. Or you can choose some that are body specific that will change the properties of how that body behaves. There's an entire trick system that you can attack an enemy, swap to another body before that projectile hits them, so it kills that enemy while you're in kind of mid-body. It is a little bit on the clunky side. Like, some of it doesn't quite work in terms of feel, but there is certainly potential here as a very different kind of action roguelike. And if they can they can make that a little bit easier to maneuver and have the variety of characters to back it up, this could be one for future fans to check out. Cobalt Core is a game that I will have a review coming up shortly for, but this is the very kind of relaxing, lo-fi deck builder, where you and your friendly crew of misfits must try and break out of a time loop, using your various cards and each character's kind of respective deck, in order to fly, move, and deal with the enemies that get in your way. This is by no means the hardest deck builder, but of all the ones that I had a chance to play at from the IGF, this was definitely the one that was my favorite, because it felt like the mechanics were there, it is very approachable, and if you're looking for a bite, there are certainly advanced difficulty options, hard mode, different strategies with the characters, and so on. There'll be a lot more to talk about in my review, but if you are a fan of deck building roguelikes, then this is an easy recommendation. And last on the list is another action roguelike with Grashers. This is a kind of action roguelike meets a cleanup system from, say, Luigi's Mansion. You play as a traveling space cleanup service that goes into people's homes to clean up mysterious trash that creates a toxic environment, literally, that warps the area and causes the trash to come to life and attack you. You must use your vacuum sucking device in order to clean up the trash, beat the bad guys, and get paid, so you can get more fuel to fly ever further and find even bigger and nastier cleanup jobs. There is persistence in form of unlocking like permanent upgrades, making you have more health, making your suction a little bit better, and so on. The visual design, the aesthetics are very fantastic. It does make it a little bit hard to like see some of the non-brightly colored things out there, but definitely the art style makes this game stand out from some of the other roguelikes that we've had a chance to play. So this one it's still not out yet, but there is potential here as another action roguelike with a very environmentally conscious theme to go with it. And with that, yet another spotlight comes to an end, and I've judged so many games from it, but these were again my absolute favorites. So if you'd like me to tackle your game for a stream, a video, whatever, I am always looking for indie games. And again, for developers watching, I am always happy to interview you on my podcast. So if you want to talk your upcoming games, game design, or anything else, be sure to reach out. But that's going to do it for this video, and now I'm going to go get some sleep. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.